finally happened. Today, I sold my van. It's a 2001 Econoline, 211,000 miles, 4x4, 33s, roof racks, the whole bit. If you want to know everything about it, I'll put a link up here, and you can go into the nuts and bolts of how I made all those decisions. But what I wanted to do is take a moment, look at the trusty old Econoline, talk about its strengths, its weaknesses, its flaws, and yeah, just kind of maybe reminisce a little bit. Here's what you need to know if you're looking at buying an Econoline and building one out, and maybe a little bit about a Quigley as well. So there's my baby, and here is the new one. This is a 2016 Transit, 58K on the odometer, 4x4, was a passenger van for a juvenile detention facility. So it came with no seats. Do not even want to know what those kids did to them. But yeah, she's tight. I'll be building her. And I have to say there are already a million things that I both really love and absolutely drive me crazy compared to the Econoline. And a lot of this will kind of focus on those differences. So for starters, one of the most iconic problems with Econolines are the front doors. You know you've had one long enough when a huge gust of wind has picked this thing up, slid the hinges a little bit, and blammo, completely creases and destroys your front quarter panel and door joint. This has been fixed twice already, at which point I basically gave up. But yeah, it's constant. It is a huge pain in the ass, and something I am not going to miss about Econolines, but spare parts are plentiful. So especially if you get a simple color like white, it is like $100 to go get an entirely new door, or maybe $30 to get an entirely new quarter panel, and relatively simple to unbolt the whole thing and put it back together again. Econoline headlights, famously terrible. These are aftermarket, Eagle Eye, insert marketing, who knows, but they do much better. Definitely if you have the black surrounds with the little itty bitty thing, you are screwed and you're gonna have to replace them. The newer ones, the 2008 Plus, much better. For those of you paying attention, this is a 4x4, so this is a locking hub style out of, I think they took this out of a Bronco, this particular axle. But in any case, 33s, very easy to clear with the 4-inch lift that comes with the Quigley. And you can even find true off-road bumpers for these damn things, which are only about $900. Does not happen on a Transit. For those of you who are looking to do roof racks, actual gutters, oh my God, is this amazing. You have no idea until you have to deal with a Eurovan that there are really no good gutter mounting options in any of the newer vans. The interior of this van I built very simply. It was just for me. Weekend trips. I spent a month out of this thing during one summer. So simple memory foam bed, center pull out, so you can fit like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 people in there if you've got to quickly move them up the road. For those of you who have been all over the Insta VanLife nonsense, you will notice, hey, that's a very, very simple bed and it looks really spacious. That's right. All your Eurovans are based around metro driving, not just being cargo vans. So what does that mean? This is a full 5'10". Average male, like myself, 5'10". You can sleep in this comfortably. You don't have to curl up into a little ball. To get this basic feature in a Sprinter, Transit, any of those, you have to put those ridiculous flares on the side of the vehicle, and you're out like $2,000 just for the parts. It's ridiculous. So the Econoline has a ton of value just in this stupid feature. The other thing you'll notice is, see that little guy, that little guy, that little guy, and that little guy? Yes, you can actually flip out all the windows in here. And again, see 5 million of these in junk yards. There are always parts. So snagging all those, I think it put me out $150. And curtains and screens, super easy. So The other really nice thing about this is climate control in these is super easy. You could get away with just one fan if you wanted to do a ceiling fan with these tilt-out windows. Personally, I've been able to get away with no ceiling fan because I didn't want one, and just a small fan in here with the 4 windows cracked and bug screens in them. Super cool, even with 2 people sleeping in the summer. So over here behind the driver's seat, we have one of the dumbest things about the Econoline. This little shroud guy, this is the interior gap where your fill port is for the gas tank. It wastes an enormous amount of space. You have to cut around it when you're making walls. Cabinetry is stupid. It is the dumbest thing they did, and thankfully none of the new vans have it because of how stupid this was. Real quick, ignore the shifter, that's 4x4 only. One of the dumbest things about the Transit is, you know, any of these vans with the stubby little nose, you will notice that Nissan aside, there is no room under the hood for anything. It's an absolute engineering nightmare to cram everybody in. So in this case, Ford has a starter battery up front, a second starter battery hidden on the frame rail underneath the van. And that's how they kind of saved themselves a couple bread boxes worth of space to cram everything in. In the Transit, yeah, they're under here. It is the worst thing ever. To change the battery, you're going to have to pay somebody to pull your seat off, or you're going to have to do it. God help you, you're broken down in the middle of nowhere. You're not even going to be able to look underneath your seat to find out what battery size you're going for. I completely understand how it happened, but gotta be a better way, guys. It feels ridiculous to have this conversation and not talk about why I'm getting rid of this van and why, after swearing I never, ever, ever, ever would, I'm getting a Transit, or I got a Transit. Rust. These things are rusty. It's what it is. If you live in the Rust Belt like I do, Northeast, it's going to be a problem. It was years of watching Transits not rust that actually got me to buy one. So this van has been repaired once already, had new rockers put in, work on doors, all that stuff. But you know, at 211,000 miles, I'm not doing it again, and the buyer can do whatever the hell they wants with it. Personally, if I had the money, I didn't need to get rid of this thing, I had the space, I would totally chop the back off at the doors, make it a ute, flatbed it, do something crazy and just Mad Maxy, because I still love this thing to pieces. The engine's still good, the transmission's still good, everything's still fine. But yeah, that being said, what the Econoline does have going for it is it's a very tight body. There aren't just holes everywhere like there are in the Transit. Most importantly though, it is a body on frame. What does that mean? Like traditional cars, there are 2 I-beams basically that go end to end with cross members that the motor bolts onto, and then they drop that body on. What does that do? Makes a really stiff, robust, rebuildable vehicle. This thing is more resistant to crashes. It can be fixed better, much more capable off-road. Everything rides higher. It's just a better way of building vehicles, but it's more expensive. It's heavier, and it's going to ride a little stiffer. So, biggest thing you'll notice about an Econoline is it drives like a truck. Other ones are going to drive like big minivans. This drives like a truck. Ultimately, what that means is if you're really hardcore, you can actually pull the bodies completely off of these, drop a new one on. So, let's say you find a sportsmobile camper or just a conversion van or whatever, and a junker cargo van with a 4x4 kit. You can wax on, wax off, make a best of both worlds vehicle, and drag the rest of the scrapyard. It works. Cannot do that on any of these newer vans. It just doesn't work. If you crash your built to the hilt VanLife van, it's done. You better have had extra insurance because it's done. So these are the cubbies on my Econoline. This is something that honestly everyone should do. The door face itself is flat, so a simple sheet of 1/4-inch ply or Luan will make a cover. Cardboard yourself the template. You can see kind of in the corner where I missed, there's a inlay. Make that shape, and then from there, you can remove the superstructure inside you don't need, hollow everything out. I like to put in some sound deadener to kind of just protect the metal and reduce sound. And yeah, paint it black, cut holes, boom. Tons and tons and tons of storage. You know, this pocket was basically my hold everything. That held all my straps for the kayaks. Sweet deal. Let's take a second and talk about these. The hinges on the Econoline are god-awful little bastards. These things just build up the most dirt and grime. They never want to close, and it's just honestly a misery to deal with them. I finally figured out the trick is to stop trying to lubricate them and instead to clean them with solvent. So I just use, you know, kerosene, rubbing alcohol, whatever I can to get whatever gummed up goo is in there out, and I don't even bother trying to lubricate it until I've done that. From there, you want to use something like a dielectric grease. Definitely not W40. That is the worst thing you could put in here. So for those of you who don't understand what I'm saying, frame, body, body, frame. Got it? I guess the last thing I would point out is clearance. Granted, I have a lift, but there's tons of it. Very hard to hang up one of these vans, even if it's 2-wheel drive. And the approach and departure angles are just unbeatable for something of this size, even a truck.